this. You want to add a new code snippet to your WordPress site. Maybe you FTP down the file you need to edit, or goodness forbid you use the editor built into the WordPress admin. You upload that file and click save, something goes wrong, and all of a sudden you've taken down a live site and you go into panic mode. I know that feeling. Or maybe you want to update your site to use a block-based theme, or a client has hired you to add new functionality. You log into the site, make some changes, something doesn't go as expected, and now that mistake is live for the world to see. There's a name for this in the development community. It's called cowboy coding, as in it's the wild, wild west. We're firing off changes in a live environment and no telling what might accidentally get shot down in the process. The stress that can come from Wild West coding can be completely eliminated if we make changes and updates in a local development environment instead. It's a safe place where you can make changes and try out new functionality. My name is Carrie Dills, and in this video, I'd like to show you how simple it is to get up and running with a local development environment. And not only that, I'll show you how simple it is to sync your local development with your live site. Meet Local. It used to be called Local by Flywheel, but now it's just called Local. It's certainly not the only way to create a local development environment for WordPress, but in my experience, it's the easiest. And did I mention it's free? No configuring vagrant boxes, setting up a PHP server, or wrestling with Docker. You just download here from localwp.com and choose your platform. From there, you go through the installation process, and when you launch Local, you'll see a screen similar to mine. First, let me show you how easy it is to spin up a fresh WordPress install. You click one of these plus buttons to add a local site. You give your install a name. I'll call mine Local Demo. There are some advanced options, but for the sake of speed, I'll leave those at their defaults and continue. From there, you can go with the recommended environment, or if you want to go custom, you can choose a PHP version, whether you want to go with Nginx or Apache, and which version of MySQL you'd like to use for your database. The idea here is that you want your local environment to mirror your hosting environment as closely as possible. For now, I'll go with preferred. Enter an admin username and password and your admin email. You can even specify if this is a multi-site environment. Click Add Site and you're off and running. At this point, Local is provisioning your new site, and you may find you need to enter the administrator password for your computer user. Before you can count to 10 Mississippis, your new site is ready to go. We can click View Site to see what the site looks like on the front end, or we can click Admin to go to the familiar WordPress login screen. Enter the credentials you added when setting up the site, and we can see that this is a vanilla WordPress install, running the 2020 theme, and there's no plugins. This is great for developing brand new sites, but what if you already have a site in the wild that you want to import into Local? I'm going to show you 3 ways you can do that. The first 2 ways apply if your website is hosted with Flywheel or WP Engine using a feature called Local Connect. The third way you can use with any host. First, I'll show you how to use Local Connect with Flywheel. I'll click the cloud icon, click the button to log into my host, and I'll log into my Flywheel account. I'll go through this verification process, allow this page to open Local, and boom! It automatically shows me all of the sites I have hosted with Flywheel and gives me the option to pull any of them down to Local. I've got a test site already set up on Flywheel, and I'm going to pull that down. I can select whether I want to pull down the production environment, that's the live version of the site that's out there for the world, or the staging environment, which as the name implies is an environment where you can stage your changes. This is a demo site and I don't have staging enabled, so I'll just click production. I'll connect and pull the site. Again, I'll enter the admin password for my computer user, and Local goes off and provisions a local copy of my live site. Just so you can see, here's the live site up on Flywheel. And if I go to Local and click View Site, I can see that it's an exact duplicate of my live site. Okay, so that's Local Connect with Flywheel. You can also do the same thing if your site is hosted with WP Engine. You log into your account, it shows you a list of sites you have at WP Engine, and you can then pull any of those down to your local environment. For the sake of time, I won't walk through the process again, as it's quite similar to connecting with Flywheel. But if you want to learn more about Local Connect with WP Engine, check out this article. I promised you 3 ways to bring a live site into local, and this third way is if you have a website hosted somewhere other than Flywheel or WP Engine. There's a free plugin called All-in-One Migration that I'll show you how to use. There are other paid migration plugins out there. I happen to love Migrate DB Pro, but All-in-One Migration is a solid free option. First, you go to the live site that you want to get on local. From your plugins page, you go to Add New, search for All-in-One, install, and activate. That gives you a new menu option, and from there, we'll click Export. I'm going to export to File. This plugin is going to export the entire site, including the database, media files, plugins, and themes. It'll tell me how large the download is, and then I can click that to download the site. Now the second piece of the puzzle is to create a new site on local, and then we'll import the copy of our live site. I'm going to use the demo site I created earlier in this video. We'll go to Plugins, Add New, and install and activate All-in-One Migration. Just like on the other site, I get this new menu item, and this time I want to click Import. You'll see the same options of where you want to import from. I'll click File to upload the export from my live site. When I click Proceed, this will completely overwrite the install and replace it with a copy of my live site. That means that when you go to log in to the admin, you'll need to use the admin account for the live site, not the one you used when creating this site in local. And just like that, I've duplicated my live site here in a local environment. Now I've shown you 3 ways you can pull down a copy of a live site into local. Local Connect with Flywheel and WP Engine is super fast and seamless. Using a plugin like All-in-One Migration takes a few more steps, but is still straightforward. Regardless of the method you choose, you're now primed to make updates to your site in a safe environment. I'm going to open up the demo site I pulled down from Flywheel and make a few changes. This site is running the Authority Pro theme from StudioPress, and I want to swap it out for a different block-based StudioPress theme. By the way, if you're hosting with Flywheel or WP Engine, you have free access to all StudioPress themes. I'm going to open up a separate window here to make my changes so that we can reference this current design. I've already downloaded a copy of the Altitude Pro theme, and from the themes page, I'm going to install and activate that. Now, if we go look at the new home page, we can see that the new theme has been applied. Also, if I scroll down my home page here, I can see that each of these sections still looks just like the original. Here, let me switch back to show you the original. And each of these sections is built with blocks from the free Genesis Blocks plugin, available at WordPress.org. So even though I've switched to a new theme, these block layouts remain unchanged. Perfect. After I make sure that everything looks good and works right, I'm ready to push my changes live. This was a site I had hosted with Flywheel, and I'll show you how easy it is to push up these changes. Going back to local, on this status bar, I can see that I'm already connected to Flywheel, the last time I pulled down a copy of this site, and then 2 icons, one to pull down a fresh copy and one to push up my local copy. If I click this Push to Flywheel, I get a couple of options. I can select the remote environment, whether or not I want to include the database as part of the push, and I could get more granular control over specific files, etc. I'm going to go ahead and select Production and Push to Flywheel. And now the site I worked on locally is deployed to my live site. From my Flywheel dashboard, I'll click the URL for my live site, and voila, now I can see my changes. Now, if you're hosting with WP Engine, this process of deploying or pushing up a site from local to live will be very similar. If you're with another web host and want to deploy your site, you can again use the All-in-One Migration plugin. Previously, we exported our live site and imported that into a freshly installed site on local. For deploying a site, we'll reverse that process. We'll export our local site as a file. Once that's downloaded, we'll import that via all-in-one migration to our live site. Ideally, if your web host lets you have a staging environment, it'd be better to deploy to staging, check everything there, and once you've confirmed everything is working well, use your web host to push from staging to production. And that's it. As you can see, it doesn't have to take a lot of extra time to make updates to your WordPress site or your client sites in a local environment. The extra time you spend is well worth saving yourself the stress, panic, or hassle of fixing a broken site that's visible to everybody. Give yourself peace of mind and remove the cowboy coding stress by using local. If you run into any trouble when using local, don't worry. There are help docs and active community forums to help you sort issues out. When it comes to cowboy coding, just say no so that you can look like a pro. And if you still want to wear cowboy boots and wear a hat, well, that's up to you, friend.